Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Freedom Friday. And today we are having
Yes.
a special guest. Our guest is already here. I was going to make him a
Yeah.
mystery
How did that
guest
happen?
and kind of sneak him in, but somehow he popped up. Yeah, so we've got Rama, and you've probably seen Rama in the comments, and he's been part of the the webinars and the live streams, and he's always been there kind of being really positive and saying some really nice things and asking some cool questions. So we've got Rama today, who's actually becoming part of the DeFi freedom kind of structure, or kind of I don't know, what do you call it, team. And he's coming to help us to to spread the load, but also to bring in his ideas, his creativity, but especially his support and his really supportive energy that he carries with him. So we'll tell you a little bit more in the new year, but yeah, well, in fact, I'll also add Tony. So we've got
Hmm.
Tony. So here we are as a threesome. Um, and yeah, we'll wait 1 or 2 minutes because people are still coming in.
Yeah.
And then once we've got a fair number of people in, then today we are going to we're having a little bit of a different tone, a different sort of approach. We're going to look at we're going to look at really we're going to look at ourselves. Yeah, we've been looking at the world, and this thing is happening and that thing is happening. This is gonna happen or that's not gonna happen. And but we're going to look at, okay, we are coming to the end of the 2021. Things have happened, in different parts of our lives, and how can we how can we interpret those things, because things happen and we respond to them. So depending on how we respond to them is what we get out of our experiences. So
Hmm.
sometimes we react to things and we kind of like go and and that might not be helpful for us, and might not even be helpful for the people around us. So how can we, as freedom warriors, how can we become more warrior-like and actually uh, take charge of how we respond to life and the things that have happened, and then from there, how can we then create something different in 2022? So that's what today is about, and that's why Rama is going to help us. He's gonna tell you where he comes from, his background, and he's going to share um, something of what he offers on a regular basis. And then Tony as well is going to come in and maybe bring a little bit of a bigger picture around it. And I'm going to bring in something also from maybe a left brain viewpoint. And we'll have a little bit of a conversation. So, oh yeah, we've got about 12 people in already, so that's good. So, Rama, tell us about yourself and what you'd like to do and share with us about yourself.
Oh, thanks, Gerald. Really, really feel
Well,
really grateful to be here. Before I get into the introduction to myself and how I actually got to be here in between Tony and Gerald, I'm just going to start with a brief meditation. It's just like a arrival. You could call it an arrival meditation or a grounding meditation, or it's just a good way to just to start. Um, so yeah, we'll just start now, just to get into it. And so it's just sitting where you are as you are. You can have your eyes open or closed, whatever is comfortable. And it's, and The idea is just to notice your breathing, whether it's short or shallow or deep, long. Just notice what's going on with that. Notice any thoughts that are going on. Just gently being aware of what is happening with you right now. And allow yourself to relax into that. And then very gently just check in. Maybe starting at the top of your head, going down. And just scan your body very gently, noticing any sensations. Maybe in your jaw, is it tight? Any sensations in shoulders, any tightness? Allow yourself to move if you need to. And just scan the rest of your body going down. Your stomach, sorry, we missed the heart. In your heart space, your chest, going down in your stomach. How was that? Notice what's going on. Any butterflies or tension? And scan down the rest of your body, your legs, your knees, your feet. It's simply being aware and noticing what is going on for yourself right now. And just allowing yourself to relax into that. Maybe take a breath, a little bit deeper, a little bit more conscious. Whatever is going on is totally fine. And then allow your awareness just to move a little bit further outside of your body and notice the connection between you and the seat and the sensations that feels like. Notice if your feet is on the floor, notice what that feels like. And then slowly, gently, you might want to allow your awareness to go a little bit further in the room that you're in. Notice we have the walls and the ceiling and the space in between. If there's any sounds, just notice that. Just allowing yourself to relax into the awareness of what is happening. Now very gently bring your awareness slowly back into your body. And allow your awareness to go to your heart space. Take a couple of breaths. Okay. You can slowly open your eyes, or if they're already open, then keep them open. And then as we go on the rest of our talk, you can just be aware of yourself while you're listening. So yeah, this I call it arrival meditation or grounding. I use something similar in different ways, depending on what's going on when I start things, when I arrive to do something. Like if I'm going on the computer or the phone to check my crypto or something like that, I make sure I just, especially if I'm in a rush, or I have to do something, I make sure I take a moment just to arrive. And it's really important just to set yourself up for what you need to do next. Yeah, so I'm going to be asking questions. So if you've got any questions, just fire them away. And Gerald, maybe you want to, if anyone's got any questions, you can just shout them out, and that will add to the conversation.
Sure,
I'll do that. Don't shout it out, just say
it. Yes.
Yeah, so my name's Rama Wharereimu. I was born in Wairoa, which is on the east coast of the North Island of New Zealand. I was brought up on a little farm, and I moved, when I was about 5 or 6, my whole family moved down to Dunedin, which is in the South Island, and that's where I was brought up. I've got quite a big family. And then, yeah, it's just a normal childhood. But then when I was about 16 or so, for some reason, the desire rose up inside of me to know who I was. I don't know. I'm not part of a religious or a spiritual family. So I don't actually know where that came from. But it was just like, oh, there must be something more. I think that's what it was. There must be something more. And that led me on a big spiritual journey. I met some traveling monks when I was about 17. They were from the States, and they introduced me to a particular meditation, which was perfect timing because I was starting to have my first bouts of depression then. Sorry for the video, but you can still hear me, I'm sure. Yeah, so I decided it was such an amazing. I felt like, oh, that's it. So I went overseas, and I was over in North Carolina first, and then after that it was in Canada. And I trained to become a meditation teacher, and I took vows, and I became a monk, and it was all amazing. I was like, yeah, this is it forever. I spent 10 years with that group, with that organization. And I traveled around a little bit and spent time in different centres, and eventually came back to New Zealand 10 years later. I feel like everything goes in loops, and circles and cycles. I came back to New Zealand when I was about 27, and I became really disillusioned. Some things were happening within the organisation and within myself. I was like, oh, this is sort of cult-like behaviour. It wasn't as it had a pure start and an intention, but it started to get a bit muddled, I felt. And so I became really disillusioned with the whole thing, and spirituality and enlightenment, and all a bunch of bullshit, really. That's what I felt. And so I quit all that, and I gave it all up, and decided I just want to be a normal guy. And I went to university, and eventually it went, just working heaps of different jobs, eventually I met someone and we had a couple of children. I've got two girls. They're 5 and 7 at the moment. They're living with their mother because we split. I'm just rushing through all this, sorry, just to lead me back to here. And so yeah, things were going along. I was doing work. I was working in support work, looking after autistic people for quite a while, and that was really good. But it was only like about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago that I was like, oh, I feel like doing something different, something completely new that I've never done before. And I keep thinking of cryptocurrency. I was like, oh, that seems like I'd like to get into that. And then all of a sudden, a good friend of mine who's part of the DeFi freedom community, she called me up and she's like, oh, my friend Tony and Gerald and this and this, and you should check it out. And so I jumped on, and for some reason, I just really resonated with the whole thing. And I felt like a vacuum cleaner or a sponge, and I just soaked up as much information as I could. It was a very steep, intense learning curve for me, but I just felt like I really needed to learn, and I didn't know why. Well, I sort of knew why, but and then I it became really obvious to me that Tony and Gerald, because of they were so busy and all their what I call higher learning stuff, it felt like they could possibly do with some support to help new people like myself get started into cryptocurrency. So I got hold of them, and lo and behold, here I am. Um, and then because of my background with meditation, and Gerald and Tony are, they are obviously into that in different ways. It was just a really good fit. So yeah, that's why I'm here. uh, so yeah, so mindset and mindfulness. It's such a buzzword at the moment. And it's everywhere in nearly any industry you go into. They always talk about having a positive mindset. It's all about having a good, being able to manage your mind, and there's proven benefits of that in terms of what you want to create, but also what's going on inside. One of the things is they talk about positive mindset. So I've got a little bit of a different point of view on that. Because being positive is one thing, but actually positive and negative is what makes us up. It's like a battery, it has a positive and negative, and that charge is what gets us going. And I came to that. I realized that because when I left the whole spiritual meditation stuff, I actually started going into depression again from when I was. It's sort of like must have been latent from when I was a teenager. I went into some pretty deep depression, in and out, lots of anxiety. Even though I had all these practices, there was still stuff going on that I wasn't acknowledging. And one of the reasons why I think it stuck around so long is because I really didn't want to experience it. I didn't want to be depressed. I didn't want to be anxious. I didn't want to have panic attacks. I just wanted to be peaceful and positive all the time. And I think because I was denying a big part of myself, it just kept it there. And so it wasn't really until I acknowledged that, actually there's some yucky feelings going on inside. There's some fears that need to be looked at. And it was actually that acknowledgement which helped break through it. So it's a real counterintuitive, but it's the acknowledgement of something which helps it be free, helps you be free. And so that's why I really like with the arrival meditation that it's not trying to control yourself. It's not trying to get rid of thoughts. It's not trying to control your breathing. It's simply the acknowledgement of what is going on. And so my take on mindfulness is that it's simply noticing what is currently happening right now. And I've had some big lessons with that. When I was working in support work, I was making something at high, I think, and I was away. I was worried about something. I was just not there, and I was blending the dough for the pie, and for some reason, I decided to stick my finger in the blade. it was just the weirdest thing, and I just went and nearly chopped my finger off. Um, and it was then I was like, oh my god, I was not paying attention, and there were some really bad consequences from that. So I'm trying to make it a priority to actually pay attention to what I'm doing. uh, yeah, it was those sort of lessons. Yeah, they can be life changing. Um, and it happened also recently when I first started doing cryptocurrency. I thought I had it all sort of good, and I was doing stuff and changing one coin to a wallet and doing all this stuff. But I was actually feeling tired, and my mind was wandering somewhere else. And all of a sudden, I deleted a wallet, and I was like, "Oh man, uh, that's not good." I mean, obviously, I could get my wallet back because of having the phrases that we kept. But that was another reminder to me that it's really, really important to pay attention. And so because I was feeling distracted, I decided just to stop and go and do something different. Um, yeah. So if there's any, yeah, so that's why I think mindfulness is such a, even though it's a buzzword and it can be sort of like a bit floaty, it's really, really practical. It's a really practical way to engage onto things, especially in this space. It's sort of a bit wild west, I feel, and it's so fast, fast paced. Um, so I just wanted to just sort of put out a question there. What people what people do for their own mindfulness stuff. What if there's a mindfulness practice that you do, or a particular thing that you like to, if you're getting caught up in things, if you what you do for yourself, because it's so individual. What will work for me may not work for someone else, because we're all different personalities, different environments, different things going on, different life story. So I'll be really interested to see what other people actually do, or a particular practice, or
Yeah.
Oh,
So what the questions will come through in about 15-20 seconds, because it
okay.
takes a while. Now, what I thought was quite interesting was what you were saying about mindfulness, and do you find that in particular states that it's easier to work with your crypto, and that in other particular states of mind everything becomes a blur and a confused state? And
Yeah, I do think so.
yeah,
When I'm feeling clear and a lot stable and a bit brighter, it's a lot easier. I feel, it's a lot easier just to play in that arena without getting caught up in it
yeah,
for myself. But when I'm feeling a bit anxious, or there's doubts, because what I've been noticing in this with doing this is that I've become face to face with my own insecurities, um, and like obstacles that I've got to like come up against. Not just obstacles with trying to find how a certain wallet works, or or I'm trying to learn how to read the market
yeah,
at the moment.
right,
That sort of stuff. I'm like, oh my god, it's like a new language.
yes,
Um, but if I'm able to just, especially because when I first started and I heard you and Tony speaking, it was just went all over my completely. I just didn't know what you're talking about. It was like, wow, all these things are so exciting, but I started getting FOMO, like anxious. I've got to do this and that. So for me, it was just okay. I'll just rest back and where am I now? I'm a big believer in step one. Okay, where am I now, and what's my next step for me? What do I need to do?
mm,
Um, so that's what helped me.
yeah,
Uh, yeah,
cool.
um, and with mindful sets, there's so many different ways that you can go about it. Um, Heaps of different things that you can do and play with. It could be just like what we did before, just checking in. It could be going into different areas, like I want to play with abundance mindset, using gratitude and stuff like that. Or it might be, I feel like I need to get clearer on on my goal. What am I going towards, and how do I get there? It could be, there's lots of different aspects, I believe, of mindset, and it all depends on what we want and what we're doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, I missed that
Okay.
question.
So well, Mitch said okay. He mentioned vipassana, so that's
Oh,
that's
okay,
that's
cool.
one way. And Vanessa was saying she read a Stuart Wilde book 20 years ago. Yeah, I remember Stuart Wilde. And his suggestion, I think it's okay. We'll wait for Rama to come back because he's just dropped off the line. But we'll wait. There he is. He's just coming back. There you go. Yeah, we're back. Yes, we were just. Vanessa was mentioning Stuart Wilde. His suggestion of introspection has been a practice since. So she's been doing it. It's evolved somewhat with a lot of self examination and self talk. I'm mostly my own best friend. That's
Oh, nice.
fantastic.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a relationship with yourself, I
yeah,
do believe.
that's right, isn't it? And the relationship with yourself has so much to do with how you experience life and and what you allow to come into your life in terms of abundance
Mm.
and goodness, good things, don't you
Yeah,
think? Yeah.
I yeah, it's perspective. Like, 'cause how I say, I call it like reality. Obviously, my reality is different.
From
But
others.
must be having internet issues.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think one way that I find that helps me get more mindful is just being in nature.
And
And
it's and also things like this getting kicked off every now and then. Things happen that are out of our control, and it's just like, oh, well, yeah, like shit
Yeah.
happens.
Shit happens. Exactly.
yeah, just
Tony was just telling us that for him, going into nature is his
Mm,
fix. Yeah, tell us
going
more,
into
Tony.
nature, taking my shoes off, just walking around in the grass,
yeah.
just taking time, taking stock out of nature. I find I can drop into myself very quickly
Mm,
and just noticing all the sounds, all the birds and the
Yeah.
bees and just touching the earth with my hands just brings me into this a more deeper kind of alpha state rather than in not alpha, sorry, in theta,
mm.
um, the lower brainwave,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
theta.
well,
Theta
alpha is kind of the relaxed one, and then
is quite relaxed, but I can go even
yeah,
deeper than that.
into deeper into the
Yeah,
theta states, and
we
yeah.
we have to get out of beta. Well, what the computer does, I'm sure the computer
Mm,
puts us into beta. It puts us into this busy,
Mm,
fast mind set, and our eyes will flick around all over the place, but we don't settle. We don't actually
no.
read what's on the screen,
mm,
and yeah, we get a little bit. Shallow breathing happens. We start getting into a little bit of adrenaline in the body, and that shuts off our critical thinking.
mm.
So we do. I think mindfulness is so important when we're approaching crypto.
Yeah.
It's important in life, in anything in life, but I think with anything on the computer, we've got to
Yeah,
find ways to calm down our.
and it's possibly because it's such a new environment. We've learned to kind of handle life,
Mm,
roughly we know how to deal with it. But when we come into like a completely new environment, that ability to calm our mind becomes even more, obvious, or it
yeah.
becomes more obvious when we are not calm, because
Yeah. And that's a good point, Joe, because one of the things which I like to do a lot is called like state changes.
yeah,
So because sometimes I like what you're saying, Tony, get so caught up in it, and I don't actually notice that my body's hunched over.
Yeah, yeah.
And, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, okay, I'll just sort of that. Or other things I do is I'll just jump out and start, just shake it off.
Mm,
Or just got some weights downstairs, going to lift some weights. There's a boxing bag downstairs, go and punch that. There's so many different ways which you can just shift your energy to help maintain that balance. Nature. There's have a drink of water, or
yeah.
go and spend time with your wife or your partner or your kids or husband, or like people are so important. I feel like there's how like because I love meditation. I love just sitting there with my eyes closed. I do it morning and night, but that's not everyone's cup of tea, and so I started like thinking like, okay, like quick ways that we can do things like while we're engaged in things.
Mm,
Yeah, and then I think just the practice of doing that, it makes it a lot easier. It's not like going to be constantly sitting in this, like all the time. Like it's a constant adjustment. I feel to what's going on, to the environment, to the um, yeah, it's a constant practice, and I think it just gets easier. Is that the right word? Easier? Sometimes it's not always easy, but it becomes the habit of thinking becomes lesser, and the habit of being mindful becomes stronger. That's how I sort of see it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think your practice is going into the subconscious and becoming more automatic, sort of.
automatic. Yeah, like a default.
Mm, yeah,
Mm.
positive default.
So
Yeah.
do you think that relates to also the emotions we get around, our financial situations, worrying about bills and or how to get ahead in life financially? Um, do you think that do you think that we get held back? We kind of get a little bit victimized by the way we think, and that if we could
I do.
actually get over all that, yeah,
I do think so, and I think a lot of it is this unconscious things that we've picked up along the way.
yeah,
Maybe some like childhood traumas. I think I say trauma as loosely. I'm not talking about something intense. It could be just
yeah,
something that happened that caused a certain belief. Like, oh, I'm not, like, for me it was I'm not worthy, but I didn't think that all the time. It was just this unconscious feeling of I'm not worthy, and
yes,
that's what played out.
yeah, yeah,
um,
that's right,
and then I
Like
had to realize,
they're programs, aren't they?
yeah,
yeah.
They're programs that are inserted in our mind, much like a virus gets into a computer. We get like a kind of like a mind virus. Wetiko is actually a brilliant study, if you even know Wetiko and what they call
Mexico.
a mind. Literally, they call it a mind virus. Native
Oh, okay.
Indian
okay,
philosophy.
yeah, yeah,
Wetiko, very interesting. And
yeah,
so we get this. The virus can spread through kind of like we're seeing it now. It's kind of like fear. It's kind of like a fearful, low vibrational virus that
mm,
can
Mm.
spread through communities. And COVID has been a perfect example of how that works.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
example.
That's right, and I think they call it low level anxiety. It's that feeling that you're not always aware of it, but it's kind
Mm.
of there in the
It's
background,
this
isn't it?
general
Mm,
anxiety that sort of
Yeah,
floats around,
yeah, yeah,
and
mm,
and
yeah,
and
and it can cause fear. Yeah,
and that
yeah,
it can cause fear, and it can affect the way we go forward in life because it can pull us back a lot. We avoid doing things because
mm,
we're afraid. We've got that anxiety about doing things, so we then
yeah.
tend to get distracted by Facebook or by other things rather than doing the things we need to do to bring ourselves forward. We get distracted by social media or by entertainment or whatever.
And
So
especially in this space, in this blockchain sort of technology world, which is so new to me,
yeah,
but it's so there's the need to like maintain ourselves because of this. There's risks. There's scammers galore. There's all sorts of
Yes.
things going on. There's also a lot of awesome stuff and goodness.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah.
But it's sort of like, for me, being able to explore that, and just noticing the doubts and the fears and how that sort of affects my judgment in a way and what I'm looking at. I think you're right with that. It's like, it's sort of like it's a relationship with that. I guess I don't know if I'm making any sense with that.
Yeah. Hey, this space does bring up anxiety because it does take people out of their comfort zone, because we aren't used to this sort of level of technology that's very new. And I think technology and anything that appears quite left brain logical does challenge a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we're having to do things that are very detailed and very specific, and we're also having to take our money into our own hands, and that can be quite freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of and we are on the cutting edge of technology, which is, here we are. We kind of think we are spiritual, natural people, and then suddenly we're on the cutting edge of technology. It's kind of, how did I get here?
Yeah. That was a good point. What you brought up, Tony. I think it's all about self-responsibility. No one's, it's like there's no one's fault if something goes wrong. It's on our own, really. And so that's why really, paying attention to all that. And which I actually love. Like, it feels really empowering to take full responsibility for myself, like for what's going on, and for my responses to this whole crypto world, which I'm just loving. I'm loving exploring it, and I see there's huge potential, not just for, it's not just finances or anything. That's definitely a big part, but it's the whole thing, the whole, a community, conscious beings. Like, it sounds really strange saying that in terms of technology, but I just see how it's such a good match of a spiritual blockchain or something like that. Who knows? From this, they make some sort of enlightened AI starts going. I don't know.
I agree. It's just about knowing the technology and how it can fit in, and understanding. It's just understanding all the different pieces and how it can integrate together. Yeah. So I was going to talk at some stage. I was going to talk about the goal setting and doing visioning and that as well. So we can start that too when you're ready.
Yeah. The only last thing I really wanted to say is, with the DeFi community and the people in it. Like, I personally know a couple, and they've got really great techniques that they are really, really good at, like the breath coach, yoga, hypnotherapist, life coach. There's all sorts of people that have got within this community. They've got amazing amount of knowledge and expertise, and it'd be really cool to like share it around. And I think that's part of it. Is the whole community.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Most of this community that we're involved in have, are quite conscious, aware beings who are understanding what's going on in the wider world, and I think that's pretty cool. We're not a money-making group. We're not a get-rich group. We're just looking at crypto as part of a greater freedom and wholeness. And that's something that I like to repeat a few times, so that if anyone new coming in wondering what we're about consciousness, and we're about freedom, and we're about truth, really, and just it gets expressed in different aspects of our life, like in our relationships and in our work and career and being able to live our purpose. In this day and age, while we still have to have mediums of exchange, if we want to achieve our purpose, we have to somehow find our freedoms and foundations and grounding points, and we have to have a bit of funds to be able to make a lot of things happen. And so it's not going to just, unless we're really advanced, it's not just going to magically appear. We've got to work through the physical realm to bring it into manifestation. And that's the hard part. It's easy to think about it and dream and float and do all that, but bringing it into manifestation takes some work.
It does. It takes action.
And I think one of the
Go ahead,
or like I was just saying, like, you're right. It's sort of like I've got this goal, and then we think we're just gonna go towards it. It's gonna be smooth sailing. But if we include the obstacles and challenges are part of that as well, then it will make it a lot. Because it seemed to be like, I'm going to do this, and then some obstacle comes up, and I'm not supposed to do it. I won't do it. Yeah. That obstacle is part of the growth process.
That's right.
And how do we get around it, over it, knock it down? Who knows? It's like so challenges is part of life, and it's like and part of the growth process.
Exactly. As soon as we set big goals, we've immediately created obstacles.
We create big challenges. That's right.
We've created big challenges, and the secret is just to be able to overcome them through a combination of thinking, feeling, and acting. Really.
And mindfulness. What I found personally is that when I have particularly big challenges, and I just can't for the life of me, think of how to solve it, I'll say to myself, well, I'll rest on that, if I've got the time, and I'll actually allow myself to, my inner brain, to actually come up with a solution. And invariably, I come up with a solution. I mean, it happened to me just 2 days ago. There was a website kind of technical thing that I just couldn't figure it out, and I thought, okay, I'll fix it tomorrow. And tomorrow, bing, the idea came to me. Oh yeah, this is what I do, and boom, it was over, And panic. Angela had a panic attack, and because of being new to crypto.
Yeah, me too.
we should put a health warning on the website.
And that's a rite of passage.
Yeah. And it's really, really great to be involved with co-creators of our world. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We are co-creators. Fantastic, Angela. Thank you.
Well, that's I came on as well. It was just to help with newbies setting up, just with the practice. It's like I've helped with a couple of people now. It's just someone that's going to hold your hand just to get started, and then from doing that, you become more empowered to do it. Yeah.
So yes, so Rama has offered to do that. So we'll work out a way to sort of get that organized, probably through the support the portal. And so you it would be good if you needed help. Put it through the support portal, which is in the membership tab, and say, look, I need help with this. Can Rama help me with this? And then you can line up. Some kind of getting together and working things out, whether in a group or one-on-one. And also what you were saying, Rama, about people with multiple skills within this group, I think it would be fantastic. Yes, if they could bring their skills in terms of like life coaching, I think would be fantastic to help people create kind of goals and work out action steps for themselves, and all those various things that you talked about. So step up, guys, and say, yeah, I'd be happy to help, or to maybe be part of a Freedom Friday, and give a talk or something like that, then yeah, we'd be really happy about that, wouldn't we, Tony? Rama?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
This is about a community coming
yeah,
into unity. It's all about, you know, it's not just about us and telling you what to do. It's about all of
no,
us commingling together, collaborating, and
yeah.
that's how I see it too.
Because we all have ideas to bring to the table. We all have skills to bring to the table. So yeah, cool.
Yep.
Thank,
Anyway,
thank
I'll get into
thanks a lot,
I'll get
Rama,
into
for you for your intro. Yeah,
yeah.
thanks for coming on board.
That's a
Really
great
glad.
intro to what I'm going to say because this is
Mm,
a bit more.
good.
You
I'll
know,
let you take the platform.
um,
uh,
planning and goal setting. I have to say it's not always been my strong suit, and it's not something I've particularly been very disciplined at. But it doesn't have to be very complex. It can be very simple, and simplicity is the key. And keeping it so that it's real, keeping your goals and that real. So we've got there's a thing called SMART goals. SMART is like an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time orientated. So what that means is, so when it says specific, well, it means basically simple, sensible, making them clear, just making your goals very clear, very simple. They don't have to be this long, highfalutin, like a whole book about what what their goals are. Just it can be just bullet points or things like that, or just a sentence, just basically outlining your goal. But they have to be measurable. Um, that means they are basically this is kind of some of the how tos. Measurable is like how much, how many, like how many clients you're going to get by X amount of time. How much are you going to earn in X amount of time? That sort of thing. And so it has to be something that's measurable, and it motivates you. And achievable basically means that it's basically realistic. It's Achievable really means how. How will you achieve this goal? Is it actually achievable? Is it agreeable and achievable? And relevant is a reasonable goal that is totally realistic. It is relevant to your current situation. Um, it's relevant to your specific skill set, where you are now. So making goals that are completely, you know, out of the ballpark, just they become so big that most people don't even attempt to try and create them because they're just not realistic. So, and it has to be results based. You have to be having a result in mind. And time is a great measure. We need, when we make our goal, it's best to create them with all these smart acronyms. And time, they need to have a time where you are going to create this goal by. And time limits, or I don't like to say deadline, I don't like that word, but timely, realistic time and specific time, and achievable in that time. And to try and take it down even further and go back to the simplicity, just make the goals simple, easy, bite-sized chunk goals. The as we to run a marathon, it's just one step after another. You will not achieve the marathon if you don't take the first step. And I think this is where a lot of people down, and then I put them in a book and then I never look at it again. So the idea is that we have to manage our goal setting and, have a ritual where maybe every Friday, I don't know, at a certain time, or you sit down and you just revisit your goal and you just see how you're doing, and set yourself a bit of a calendar and make sure you're recording the tasks that you want to do that week, and just manage the goal. Just like we've got to manage our crypto, we've got to manage our goal setting. The other key thing about this is questions. Question, if you break the word question, it's quest ion. We are all on a quest, whether we know it or not. And that quest is leading us to our ultimate vision, our ultimate purpose. And I'm going to talk a bit about that in a minute. But before we get there, I also believe it's important to ask the 5 key questions. Why is the goal important? You need to know why you are setting your goal. Why is it important to you? What do you want to accomplish? This may seem like a very almost so simple question that it's ridiculous, but this is what our mind needs. Our mind needs simple, asking the obvious questions, and it doesn't always get an obvious answer. So, figure out, what do you want to accomplish? What's the goal going to accomplish for you? Who is involved in this? Are you going to get your partner involved, your husband, your wife, your son, daughter, whatever? Who else are you going to need for assistance? Who could you go and see to assist you in this goal? Where is it located? Where are you conducting this? Where is it? Is it online? Is it offline? Where in the universe? Whereabouts are you creating this goal? Is it in this country? Is it in another country? Just all those where questions, and which resources are involved. How much money do you need? What other limitations could be involved, or what do you have surplus of? What's going to make it easier if you tapped into those certain resources? So these are the standard questions. These are the part of the questions I use in my Earth Star teaching about what, when, where, how, why, who. These are the key questions. If we seed those into our mind, particularly after doing a mindfulness exercise or meditation, your mind is going to be more receptive. The soil of your mind is going to be more receptive to plant those seeds, which is what this is. It's seed planting to create a future harvest. So, and I also believe in setting a vision. A vision is your end goal. That is your big what. That's what you're going to end up. What do you want to really ultimately create? What's your vision going to look like? That's what it is. It's basically, the end goal of your life. How much money you want to have? What are you going to do with it? Where are you living? Who are you living with? What's the environment that you want to end up in? And purpose. The purpose is your why. That's your big why. For me, it's about awakening freedom. For me, my goal is about freedom on every level. But everyone will have different versions for them. Even people will have different aspects of freedom. So some people, it might be for your family, it might be for your children, it could be charitable purpose, it could be anything. But I think we need to put a bit of mind power into what is our purpose and the mission. The mission is the ultimate how. So this is fitting in with I always talk about the Trinitaries, I call them, or the Trinities of the building blocks of manifesting come in threes. And so this is my what, why, and how, which is your vision, purpose, and mission. And a mission is like a lot of businesses create a mission statement for their business. Their mission is that it's saying to the public how they're going to serve them, basically, how we're going to make a difference in your life by using our products or services. Or you can make a mission for your life as well. You can have a mission statement for your life, and that is your main overarching how you're going to do it. I'm also going to talk about a little bit about the power of prayer. I know that might sound a bit odd. I'm not a religious person. I haven't been through the religious indoctrination, but I do have ritual aspects. I believe religion is about following rituals and about honoring ourselves, the earth, the heavens, whatever. But for me, prayer is not necessarily asking for something. It's not necessarily saying, I want this, and God, give it to me now, sort of thing. I believe the power of prayer is more what I listened to Greg Braden a fair bit, not so much lately, but Greg Braden prophesied or postulated this way of prayer where we simply feel what we want and we see and feel in ourselves. We embody the prayer. And so if our vision is to be safe, and one of my visions was I'd love to be in a natural retreat setting with accommodation and education. So my prayer would be that I could visualize myself in this natural retreat. I could smell the environment. I could literally see the environment. I could see what the buildings look like. I could see the nature all around. I could hear birds. I could literally embody what it was like to be in this retreat. You might be able to hear the sound of a river running by. You might be able to hear the laughter, say, of children or whatever, and actually think, feel, and embody what it is like to be in this in my example, in a retreat. But it could be whatever your vision is, whatever your purpose is, whatever your mission is. Go in and actually intend to create it in your physiological state. Actually imagine as though you are there already, because in effect it has already been created. So I don't believe in coming from a space of lack to create something, because you already have it. We just have to know that it is already yours. If you desire something enough and you want it enough, then if it's burning in your heart and it's something that you really feel that you have to do, then there's nothing that can stop you from creating it. And I've proven that to myself. I did a lot of things that people thought was absolutely I'd never achieve. One of those things was I used to love dreaming about the Himalayas. I used to go to India and I'd dream about what it would be like in the Himalayas. I would visualize it up there. I would, I had a few Indian friends, and I was going to India to buy goods at the time, but buy products for my shop. And I used to just, without even really knowing, I used to look at the pictures of the Himalayan mountains and talk to a few Indians about it and their experiences. And I'd go home, and then I would literally sit down and I think, wow, I could, what would it be like? And I would sort of recreate what I thought it might be like in my mind. And then one day I just got a email saying, "Oh, you've been to India a few times. Are you going to take people?" And I thought, wow, there's a thought. So I pondered on it, and then next minute another email, I kid you not, from somebody else came in and said, "Oh, I know you've just come back from India. I'd really like to go to India." And then, boom! And within 6 months, I was in India taking people in the Himalayas. And I to before that time, I would have thought, wow, I don't know that that's achievable. How could a white boy lead a group up into the Himalayas? But I did, and it actually fully realized that my musings and my dreaming wasn't in vain. It was literally pulling me there, and so now I'm just get a bit more conscious about when I want to do something. I really take time to think about it. Is this right? I play with it in my mind over a period of days. I will meditate on it. I will feel it, feel if this feels right. And if then I start getting signs to act upon, and so I'll take some action, and then it'll either peter out or it will continue carry on. And just about all of my projects, um, that I've manifested have sort of followed that basic pattern. So for me, it's about doing what I love. If I enjoy what I'm doing and it's fitting in with my skill set, I believe in doing something that's within your skill set, within your talent, within your talents, within your passions, within your experience as well, and your character. You know, if you start to understand who are we really, beyond this name and beyond all the other things, like the surface things that people try to pigeonhole us. Oh, you're your education. You've got a PhD, or we get identified by all the physical aspects of our life. It's important that we understand who we are as a soul, as an energy being, and what you really love to do will be there in your heart. And I have everything I've done what I love to do. I set my mind on it. I took a lot of incredible, a lot of busyness, a lot of action at first, and then some of the projects have become quite incredible. And what happened? So I couldn't see the end result, but I just kept walking, and then as I walked in, they say that the more that you traverse around the earth, the horizon changes. So what you start off doing isn't always where you end up. But like like anything, you need to readjust and tack. Like to use a yachting term, we have to tack across the ocean. So it's just about following your nose, following your heart, following your um, following your passion. So and you'll enjoy the journey along the way. And they say you'll never have to work another day in your life if you're doing what you really love. So that's kind of my concept about planning and goal setting and vision. Creating a dream board too, by the way, I think is excellent. A dream board is brilliant because it's bringing in, you can visualize it, you should write it, visualize it, feel it, just employ as many of the senses as we can. And then if you're doing that, I guarantee the sixth sense called intuition will kick in, because that's how it works. The more cards you're playing with in a deck, the more chance you've got of winning the game. So it's really not rocket science. Yeah, so that's kind of my take on goal setting and planning. Planning does not have to be boring. It can be fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, so true, Tony. And but yeah, as you say, planning is the important part. Otherwise, we just float and float and float. And and as you've said so many times, we've kind of pretty much ended up where we are in the financial world by default, because we actually never, as a people and as citizens, participated, and therefore things happen by default, and that's where we are at now. So it's brought us to a stage where we have actually to decide that yes, we have to start doing stuff for ourselves, for our communities, um, and reversing that the default situation that we've arrived at. So here are the tools, guys. It's so, yeah, it's so important. In fact, what I was going to do is I was actually going to talk about a bit of a left brain side of things. But yeah, if you've got anything else you want to say, Tony, and then I can talk about my
No,
left
no,
brain side of things.
I'm done for my bit. I
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
hear what you've got to say.
So yeah, I was going to talk about something I discovered. Well, it's not discovered. I rediscovered it, or I got reminded of it the other day, and it was about a part of our brain. It's like a complex called the reticular activation system, RAS, and it's a very interesting thing because. Uh, the researchers have found that we are conscious of about 4,000 bits per second of information coming in. And so, yet, they found also that we actually have 8 million bits of information hitting us every second. So our subconscious brain perceives 8 million bits of information. Our conscious brain only works with 4,000. So what happened to the rest of them? why are they not in our consciousness? And what they found is that what we do is we actually filter. We filter the 8 million according to our beliefs and according to our expectations of how the world should be. So if we expect a world that's, say a violent world, and I've met a lot of people like that who have an expectation of a violent world, we get to experience that very frequently. If some people expect a poor world or a scarce world, they tend to experience that very frequently. And we know of some people who have an expectation of things coming to them all the time, and that's what happens to them all the time. So they have created basically the 4,000 bits of information every second. We are actually creating our world with that. That's the world we have created. The real world is 8 million bits or more, but we have created a 4,000 bit world. So if this 4,000 bit world that we have created is not something that we feel is really where we ought to be, then the way to actually move into something else is to change our beliefs and change our expectations. And often we think, well, that's really hard to do. But we also know, and we also think that it's really harder to do if we are older, right? Some of us are more mature and we think, our brains are kind of ossified and fixed and whatever. But they found only in the last 10 years or so, or 15 years, that the brain is plastic till the day we die. That means the brain is actually it's changing and it's growing and it's reconnecting right up till old age. So we can actually change our brain, we can change our filter of the world, and we can change what we create all the way till the day we die. So what relevance is that to us when you think of it, then this brings us back to the law of attraction, right? So if you've watched The Secret or read the law of attraction, what it says is that what you think about frequently is what you're gonna create. And this is exactly what Tony has talked about with his dream board. So we think, oh, well, that's a kind of airy fairy thing, it's a kiddie thing, but it's a very, very powerful thing, because our brain works visually, it works emotionally, it works how do you say, auditorily, right, by what we hear. And so by creating a vision board with all those things, and like Tony said, feeling it, he felt his things, he imagined the sound of the river, or the sound, you can imagine the sound of the sea that you'll be living by, or whatever it is. By making it a fully sense around, fully sensorial kind of image, it becomes a very powerful thing that then plastically remolds your brain and its expectations. And then what you filter then becomes opportunities. You start seeing opportunities which you didn't see before. You thought, my life is stuck. Nothing's happening. Nobody's offering me anything. And the moment you kind of reject that and change your vision and say, there's things happening. I'm bringing this into my life. You will see that opportunities start coming. And this is something, me personally, I've discovered that in the last few weeks and few months, that all these amazing things are starting to come to me, and faster and faster and faster. And it's like, wow, where I felt before that I was stuck, and how do I get past paying my bills every month? Every month I only earn enough to pay my bills. And you know that your brain is working to help you when you realize that actually for the last 30, 40, or 50 years, you've always earned enough to pay your bills, but not much more. Right. So what if you shifted that? What if you shifted that expectation and said, well, instead of just paying my bills, I'm going to actually do this, or I'm going to do that, or I'm going to do that, right? And then the opportunities will start coming, and you'll start seeing some things happening. So if you do go through a life of drama and difficulty, right now, think to yourself. And we know that these dramas and difficulties can draw us in, like Tony keeps talking about the tsunami. We get drawn into that wave, and then we are rolling around in the wave, right? So how can we shift our mind, maybe using mindfulness, and maybe Rama can help us. Maybe Rama, you'd be open to. I'll just add your sound back, but Rama, you might be open to helping us shift our minds so that we can actually accept the fact that we can change this whole plasticity and bring new things into our mind and shift that. It's a trick, isn't it? When you're caught in the drama of rolling around in the wave, how do you get out of it so that you can then surf the wave, right? And then the drama is gone. So I really encourage you guys to over the next few weeks to start thinking about this and to start actually doing things. There's one I was going to share a little thing. It's called vision wheel of life. That's right. And what you could do is create a little wheel of life and reviewing the year that's come by. Where are you at in your physical environment in terms of the home, the where you live, and all those things? Is it how have you felt about it, say from 1 to 10? What's happened with your career, and for a lot of us, a lot has happened with our career. What has happened with your money? Your fun and recreation, that part of enjoying life and having fun, playing in life. How has your play been? How has your friends and family? uh, you know, well, we say romance. Romance is kind of a bit of a romantic word, but how is your love life? The people that you love, that you really are intimate with, and what is your health? How has it been, and how has your personal growth and spirituality been? So it would be really good to, you know, kind of look at it. If you're not a numbers person, just put a kind of a sense of how it has been for you, and then do a meditation, do a mindfulness meditation, and then come back to this and say, okay, now what do I want to create? Now that I know that I'm a creative person, I'm a creator of my reality, what is it that I want to create? And then you redo the exercise, and then from there you can create your vision board. You can create your goals, and you can write those down. You can create a set of affirmations and visualizations. And I think that probably guys might agree with me, but there are two ways to keep connected to this process. One way is to keep being grateful and remind yourself of what you're grateful for, because that process of being grateful connects you to the source of the flow that comes back into you. And then the second one is, as Tony said, is to reconnect with nature, because like Vanessa said, we are part of nature. And when we remember that we are part of nature, then we remember that we are part of the abundance of nature and everything that it brings and the life that it brings. So I think I'll leave you with that. Yeah. Anything anybody wants to add to that?
No, I just want to, it's like this whole thing is about being empowered within yourself. And there's so much, we've shared lots of things, lots of different tips and tricks and different gems for myself and Tony and Gerald. But the main treasure is yourself. And I think it's just really taking the time, taking the space that you need to do that. And then, which is another important step, taking those little action steps towards it, and being bold in that, and claiming what is rightfully yours.
Yes, yes, indeed.
And also that there's support. There's people that to here to help and support and assist in all that, and all the different aspects, whether it's mindfulness, the planning and goal setting, practical stuff of setting up crypto, or the other things that Tony and Gerald talk about with the projects and the larger picture. There's heaps of support.
Yeah. Yes. And there's heaps we're gonna do next year. So put on your seatbelts if you believe in seatbelts. But if you ride your horse bareback, that's fine too. But yeah, we're in for a wild ride. So clear your mind state. Well, probably what I would encourage you is, over this next period, clear your mind state and just clear the dross. Do a broom out or vacuum clean, or whichever way you want to do it. But so that we come into the year with a kind of a clear slate. And with that, we can do lots, and especially together, supporting each other, encouraging each other, and teaching each other. So yeah, I'm really excited for 2022. How about you guys?
Right, absolutely. Yeah. I think 2022 is going to be a massive year
Yeah.
on a global level, and it could be a massive breakthrough year. I'm very
It is.
optimistic
Yeah.
that people are going to come out the right side of the ledger in this. It's just that we have to wake up and the awakening is happening at huge pace now. So ultimately we win. That's the way I see
Yes.
it.
That's right. Yeah.
We've already won.
Yeah. Try and focus on what you want rather than focusing on what's wrong at the moment with society, because
That's important.
that can pull us into the wave of rumbling around, and that can also restrict our reticular activator system. The 4,000 bits. What do they consist of? Do they consist of us looking at Facebook and all the horrible things that are going on, or do they consist of us visioning like Tony, dreaming, and or or like Rama, closing your eyes and being in that space. Uh, Even if you're doing nothing, hey Rama, even if you're doing nothing, that's actually a fantastic thing, great thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we have already won. Exactly, precisely, Angela. We have already won, and we are creating it. We are creating the new reality individually, and then as we create it individually, as we take our self responsibility, create our individual reality, and we all do it together, then we're creating this critical mass that then is going to spread out to other people and show them how to do it. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
So people get busy, create your vision board for over this period. It's a powerful time because the 1st of January is set as the new year because it goes back to Egyptian times when they were creating the calendar. 1st of January is a very powerful time when Sirius, the star system Sirius, is opposite. I believe it's opposite the Earth or opposite the Sun, which obviously is connected to the Earth, and it's a powerful time for. That's when they would do a lot of the visioning of what they wanted for the next year in the Egyptian times, because they would sort of pray. Isis represents Sirius. Sirius, if you look at the word Sirius, and Isis comes out as Sirius, she's the goddess of fertility. She's the goddess of um, um,
Love?
sorry.
Was it love? Like artist of love? No. Fertility.
Probably love was probably in there somewhere. I just forget now. But she was the like the mother of Horus, and it was the trinity of Isis, Horus, and Osiris, and they are the trinity deities. Isis is like the mother goddess. Osiris was the dark one, and Horus was the newborn sun. And really, it's depicting a day in the sun. Horus rises on the horizon. Hours, the word hours comes from Horus. It's just a rearrangement of the letters. So Horus would rise up on the horizon. The noonday sun is known as Ra. That's when the sun's at its full height, and then set and sunset as happens at twilight. That's the three aspects of the sun god. And then Osiris was at midnight, the dark, and he was the evil one. But really, it's just a parable about the light up.
Yes.
And Isis gave birth, if you like, to the sun, and that's Sirius. Sirius is our great sun. That's a type of sun that activates our Earth sun. And then we've got Alcuin, the great central sun, which is even more. This is even more of the sun of the universe, if you like. Whereas Sirius is like the sun of our galaxy, and our sun is the sun of our planetary, solar system. Yeah. So I just thought I'd throw that in. So it's a great time to manifest.
It is a powerful time. In fact, just one more thing to add to your toolkit homework is to write a letter to yourself. Write a letter to yourself saying, this is what I will have, this is what I will be. Dear me, this is what I will be. This is what I am. This is what I am doing. This is, all the things that you want to be and you want to do and you want to achieve and you want to receive. Write it down, seal it, put it away, and next year at the same time open it and see what happens. See what would have happened. So, yeah.
I think it's a good idea to write down that which you want to let go of as well.
Yeah.
To bring something in new, you have to let go of something to make space.
Perhaps, yeah. So in fact, maybe you could write that down as what I want to let go of. And do you think then you just chuck it in a fire and burn it, and you let go of it?
Yep.
I think that's one of the ritualistic ways of doing it. Yeah.
It is. I've done that. I've found it very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lots of things you can do to empower yourself, as Rama said, to free yourself, and and we'll start again next year.
Yeah. So yeah, this has been an awesome session. I really thank you, Rama, for coming on and your wisdom. I really think that
thank you both.
It's a great trio we got going here.
Yes. Hope they don't
thanks again for all your people showing up.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
I see a few new people in there, which was really great.
Yes.
It looked like they had got something from it. That's excellent. And yes, and Susan, yes, you were on that first trip I did to India. That was a momentous trip.
I bet.
And it was actually a pinnacle of my life at that time, climbing those mountains.
Gee whiz.
But they live on. They live on literally in my being.
Yeah.
And you have powerful times like that. If you're having a hard time, just remember something that was really amazing in your life, or was something very powerful and positive. And I find that's a great way to bring back that state that we need to be in. Just to realize that we are very flexible and very plastic, as you say, Gerald. The mind is like plasticine. That's why I call it neuroplasticity.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll have a fantastic Christmas and New Year's, and we'll see you in the new year. We'll keep in touch.
Thanks.